I need an emergency fund. I don't need an emergency fund. I'll just use that money straight to debt. Bad idea! Stay tuned. You'll find out why. So, an emergency fund. If you follow the Dave Ramsey steps, number one step is get an emergency fund. This is actually a baby emergency fund. It's only $1,000. Might be hard for some of you to get to it. Might be easier for others. Either way, step one, save $1,000. Step two, then you start going into paying off debt. But still not touching that emergency fund until an emergency comes up. Why, you say? I should be using that $1,000 to go towards my debt. It could pay off half. Yes, it could. But what if your car broke down suddenly? Do you have that money set aside to pay it for the car? What if your hot water tank goes off? Goes off. Doesn't really go off like a rocket, but what if it breaks? Do you have money set aside? If you're in debt, I'm highly doubtful that you don't, because you know what? I didn't. Today's talk is going to be about the baby emergency fund. $1,000 can save you a lot of headache. This week we had to take our car to the garage because the brakes went. Okay, we never fixed the brakes, and all the times we fixed it, never got the brakes. I can't believe it. But anyhow, yeah, so they were starting to feel really, really soft. They weren't stopping on a dime. And so we took it in, and yeah, we needed brakes. So this was not planned. I only had $300 in my sinking fund for my car. So with the gas money, there was $400, which is still not enough. So we needed that emergency fund to kind of buffer that. We did have our hot water tank go a while ago, actually before I got into the Dave Ramsey program. It was $500, including the work and the replacement. And you know what? That went straight to debt. And I'm sure I'm still paying for it now because we never paid off that credit card. But anyhow, things happen all the time. We've had a toilet flood, and we plunged it, we snaked it, but our snake wasn't that long. We actually had to call somebody in. That cost, $120. We had nothing. We put it on our credit card. Excuse me again. If I had that emergency fund, I wouldn't be digging myself deeper and deeper and deeper into debt. So, yeah, have that emergency fund. Don't skip the steps. Don't do them out of order. Number one, save your $1,000. If it takes you a couple weeks, if it takes you a couple months, either way, that is the number one step, and it is so vitally important. Another thing that could come up, actually, my daughter got invited to a field trip, and we needed to pay $1,400. Didn't have the money. We actually decided to wait another year, just so that she'd be a little bit older. I find when she's with her friends right now, all the rules out the window. I don't know what happens. She turns into another human being when she has friends over. So I'm kind of concerned about having her go across the country, and she's with some friends, and things are going to happen. But with that $1,000 in my emergency fund, I would have only had to pay $400 out of pocket, which isn't so bad. But then I would have had to refill my emergency fund. Again, possible, but at least I had the cash to pay off the trip. Just trying to think of other emergencies that may have come up in my past or recently since I started the Dave Ramsey program. Oh, yes. Classes for my daughter's school. The first set of classes, we did not have the cash because she had told us since back in June that she would not be taking post-secondary. Sorry, my phone just beeped. I should turn that off. And so, we didn't think much of it. And suddenly, come January, she's like, actually, I just want to take one class. And it's going to cost $800. And I went, so being that we weren't saving up for that because we were trying to pay off all our debt, we had nothing in savings except for my emergency fund. And so we used $800 from the emergency fund. And then the next pay period, we bumped it right back up to $1,000. We are able to do that per pay period. I just don't pay off our debt as quickly as I would like. So it does kind of delay things in my paying off our snowball. But it's life. So now that I know, she wants to take classes, I actually opened an account, and so we're dumping money into that account constantly so that at the end of her 3 months with this one class, we can put her in another set of classes. And I won't have to touch the emergency fund. So, you get smarter with age, they say, right? What else could have happened? Oh, yes, we are looking at getting a mini fridge. We have a fridge, but lately we seem to be having guests over a lot, and so it would be nice to have pop or drinks. And so what I decided I'd like to do, sorry, my cat's trying to jump up on my cat scratcher. I swear they don't touch this thing if I'm not sitting here. Anyhow, so if the camera shakes, I apologize now. So we've been looking on Craigslist, and I found one for $25, but it had a bunch of dents on it. So we ended up not buying that one. We found another guy who's selling it, but he hasn't told me his price. So I'm not sure. We'll see if we end up getting it or not. But I don't have to touch my emergency fund because I have a little bit of extra money, and I'm only looking at spending $50 max. But again, if our fridge broke down, which it has in the past, and it cost me $1,000 to buy a new fridge, plus get it delivered, plus getting them to remove the old fridge. See, the cat. I apologize. This is the culprit. You little bad boy. Nope. Sorry about that, guys. So, having an emergency fund is a lifesaver, even if it's only $1,000. After you finish step 2, which is paying off your debt, step 3 is having the fully funded emergency fund, and that's actually going to pay off your expenses. So you should have no debt, but your living expenses, and that is your heat, your electrical, your rent or mortgage, either one that you have to pay, and your telephone. It's supposed to pay your necessities if you were to lose your job or if your partner was to lose their job. We're a one-house income. I have figured out how much I need to save for 3 or 6 months, depending on how you feel about, are you able to, in the industry you work in, are you able to find a job quickly? So I'm doing, actually, I will be doing a 3-month emergency fund, and it's going to add up to $12,000. So I do know what we need to do, but I still have to pay off number 2. But yeah, have your emergency fund. It is so vital, and it's so good to have. A ton of headaches have been saved by having this extra $1,000 just sitting there, waiting to be used up. Unfortunately, we seem to have a lot of minor emergencies that come up, and paying for my daughter's school may not be an emergency, but since we were under the impression by her that she was not going to post-secondary school, and we had not saved up for it beforehand because we are idiots, to us that was a bit of an emergency because she needed to pay for it within 3 weeks. So we saved up some money, but it wasn't enough to pay it all, so we used quite a bit out of the emergency fund. So I know Dave Ramsey would say the schooling isn't an emergency. That we should have known about, but whatever. Anyhow, I totally suggest do not skip the steps. Go to number 1, save your $1,000. We'll be talking to you real soon. Thanks for joining Living on the Cheap and trying to figure it out. Watch this video next. Maybe it's a playlist. I don't know. We'll see. And please subscribe here. Talk to you real soon. Thanks.